Hey friend, welcome back to the Word with Wit. I'm so glad that you're here. Since you clicked on this video, you're probably beginning to discern that some of your friendships have been toxic to your journey. So let's be honest, friendships can make or break you, and more often than not, or more often than we would like to admit, they can bring us down. So I'm creating this video to help you recognize the red flags that a friendship may be toxic to your journey, and also give you some solutions to help you to regain your peace. First things first, I can tell you from experience that choosing to walk away from toxic friendships can be a major turning point in our life. It allows us to redirect our time and our focus towards our growth and more fulfilling relationships. I'm sharing today because I believe it's extremely necessary for us to evaluate each relationship in our life despite longevity and the fears of what may happen if we choose to leave the friendship. The Bible tells us that whoever walks with the wise becomes wise, but the companion of fools will suffer harm. So as we go through each point, also do a self-evaluation. Make sure you're not that toxic friend. If you are, please understand it's not too late to be better. We're not going to be perfect. We don't always get it right. And I can honestly say that I'm not always the greatest friend, but I do strive to be better every single day. So let's count down 5 ways to recognize a toxic friendship. And stick around to the end so that we can go over some solutions on how to handle each type of friendship. Number 5 on the list is something that we've all dealt with: one-sided friendships. Now, I'm sure most of us have been on both ends. We may not go into a friendship where we're trying to take advantage of people, but sometimes the friendship we may be receiving more than we're giving. And there's nothing wrong with that in a sense. If you're assigned to a person, obviously they may not be able to pour into you. You may be more of a mentor to them, and you're just pouring out, and you have to have someone refilling. So I just wanted to give that as a kind of disclaimer. If God has put you in the life of someone as a mentor, or to disciple someone, they may not be able to give. But if this is an actual friendship, this is what we're talking about here today: friendship. So if you call this person your friend and it's only one-sided, as in they're always taking but they're never giving anything, they only call you when they need something, and when you need something they are never available, we have to be careful with those kind of friendships. We have to evaluate those kind of friendships and ask God how to proceed. In John 15:13, Jesus said there is no greater love than to lay down one's life for a friend. So yes, we can have that servant attitude, and that's a great thing to have. But again, if that love is one-sided, we need to evaluate that friendship through prayer. So, just asking God to reveal the truth about that friendship, anything that's missing, anything you need to do, etc., etc. But we will talk about more solutions towards the end. So that's just a brief, blurt, I guess, a freebie. So anyways, another big red flag towards a toxic relationship, or to reveal that a relationship may be toxic, is a friend that gossips about other friends in the group. This person they're always the type to vent whenever the person they're talking about isn't around. They never really address the person that they have conflict with. They never say these things to their face. They always say it behind their back. And sometimes they may, be more bold, and they may say little smirky comments or say little bits and pieces, but they more so vent or talk about the person behind their back than anything else. They're always the victim. That's a big red flag. Anytime someone is always the victim, that's a big red flag, because if they are always the victim in everyone else's situation, there's going to come a point where you may have conflict with them, and they are going to be the victim, and they're going to make you look like the guilty party. So you have to see that as a red flag and be careful with these type of people. Also, these type of people are the ones who invite you to gossip. So as believers, we aren't called to gossip. We're not called to, we're called to be set apart. So if we're gossiping and doing the things as the world does them, that's sinning. We're going against what God has said, because we're supposed to represent love and represent Christ here in the earth. But if we're sitting here doing everything that everyone else is doing, tearing down his children, that's not a good look. That's not a good thing. That's not where we should be as believers. Don't get me wrong. It's easy to fall into it, I understand. But if this person is always inviting you into gossip, you definitely need to evaluate that friendship. They may not say, obviously they're not going to come out and say, let's gossip, girl. They might say, I got the tea. But we all know what tea is code for. They might ask you to share your opinion on someone, just to kind of get a feel, or to get you to open up about someone and to vent about someone. So they use it kind of as a guise, like, oh yeah, girl, yeah, just get it off your chest, say however you feel, or what do you think about this, or what do you think about what she did, blah, 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 when in reality, it's none of your business. And even if it is your business, if it's something that involves you, you should handle the issue with that person directly instead of talking about them, because what help is it going to bring to be discussing them behind their back? They can't do anything. They can't resolve the issue if you're talking about them behind their back. So we have to be careful with those friends, and keeping that in mind, we want to think about what that causes, what that leads to. So, that's going to cause division between the group and amongst the group. So Proverbs 16:28 says, a troublemaker plants seeds of strife. Gossip separates the best of friends. So with these friends, we need to really ask ourselves, is this friendship building us up, or is it taking us out of character? So before we get into the top three, or my top three toxic friendships, please go ahead and like this video, comment, subscribe. Let me know if it's been helpful to you so far. Okay, so back to number 3 is going to be inauthenticity. So I hope that's a word. Is that a word? I think it is. Anyways, basically it's not a genuine friendship. It's not authentic. In this type of friendship, sometimes it can be hard because you may fall into people pleasing. You pretty much notice that you can't be yourself. So you don't feel safe to kind of let your guard down with this person. It may not be a obvious reason. You may feel like you're just not comfortable with them yet or whatever, but it may be you having discernment and recognizing that you can't tell this person anything because they're talking about other people, or they're judgy, or they just don't have your best interest at heart. They may be jealous. All these different things, whatever the meaning or whatever the reason, you can't be yourself. They may make negative comments. They may make jokes about things you say, things you believe. You can't be honest with them. You can't set boundaries with them. It just doesn't feel genuine. You can't be yourself. So in friendships, we should be loving each other unconditionally. Of course, you're going to make mistakes. You're a human. Your friend is going to make mistakes because they're human. So with that in mind, we have to be so loving that we're willing to overlook mistakes. I don't mean being abused and, going through the same thing over and over again, but being forgiving, being ourselves, and understanding that even though I may not agree with everything that you believe or everything that you do, I still love you and respect you. I respect what you're doing. I respect your opinion, etc., etc. If they're doing something that you don't respect, or you're doing something that they don't respect, whatever, and you can't be around each other because of that, whether it's, a religious reason or any reason, if it's just too far out of your comfort zone, then maybe you need to evaluate that friendship. But if they're claiming to be your friend, they still want to be around you all the time, but they're making jokes about what you believe, they're making jokes about what you wear, the things you say, your thoughts, they belittle you, they're condescending. A lot of times those type of people are keeping you around so that they can look good, so that they can make themselves look better. Your insecurities, they play off your insecurities pretty much. They want the attention for themselves, and they will definitely take that. So they will make jokes to make themselves look better or feel better. A lot of times they're even jealous of you because you do feel confident in being yourself, so they try to belittle you. But anyhow, so these friends, like I said, they say things like, I was just joking. If you do address the situation, they often say things like, lighten up, or you're too serious, because they don't want you to address it or set boundaries with them. And Proverbs 26:18-19 actually warns against this when it says, like a maniac shooting flaming arrows of death is one who deceives their neighbor and says, I was only joking. Flaming arrows of death. So, we have to look at that. Like, they're really tearing you down is what they're doing. So we have to really evaluate those friendships, because we have God-given discernment, and we have to use that. And we have to recognize that every person who calls themselves a friend is not truly our friend, and they do not always have good intentions. Number two is this person does not respect your boundaries. There's a lot that I could go into with this, but I'm going to hit on a few. There is oftentimes a lot of mental illness going on behind this. There's a lot of healing that needs to be done with these kind of people. We all have a lot of healing that needs to be done, in all honesty. But with these people specifically, a lot of times they're not walking with God. Because whenever you are walking with God, you can love someone. You can love someone for their differences. You can still be around someone. You don't have to tear someone down because they're not doing what you're doing, or whatever. Don't get me wrong, I don't mean like just out here blatantly sinning. Obviously, we don't want to hang around anyone who's going to tear us or take us down the wrong path, but we'll get into that here shortly. But pretty much this person, like I said, is dealing with mental issues often. They may be narcissistic. They don't respect who you are. They may be self-centered. A lot of times they use manipulation. That's their number one tool. They don't respect your boundaries. So instead of coming out and saying, I don't like that idea, or, I'd rather do something else, they try to use anger, get mad if you try to address the situation. They use their emotions to manipulate you. They may even use flattery. So believe it or not, some people will flatter you to death, make you feel so good about yourself just to tear you down. They want to do whatever they want to do, and it kind of goes into the number 3 person, the inauthentic, the person you can't be yourself with. But it takes it a step further, because these people are actually trying to manipulate you into being who they want you to be. They're trying to control you. They may say negative comments, smirky comments. They may be jealous, or make jealous statements or seemingly jealous statements, basically to try to get you to see things their way, to tear you down, to whatever. Usually these people don't realize they need healing, so they try to manipulate everything and everyone around them to make themselves feel better. This type of friendship can be so dangerous, because they tear and wear you out. They tear you and they wear you down, basically, and then they move on to the next person. So they will drain you until you just say, I can't do this anymore, and then they will move on to the next person and blame you for the friendship failing. And then they'll do the next person the same way. So these people also always play the victim. So you'll notice that with them as well. If they're the victim in every old friendship that they've had, everybody that has always done them wrong, every relationship has failed because of somebody else, they're never the problem. You got to watch out for that. We often want to help these people. I mean, that's the main thing. As believers, we are called to serve, we are called to love, but God has to do some healing and do some work in them. And trying to love them out of it doesn't always work. A lot of times they will continue to be abusive. If they are open to learning and all of that and trying to work it out, and you try to set boundaries with them and it works, that's awesome. But oftentimes you have to leave them to God. So the Bible in Proverbs 18:24 says, there are friends who destroy each other, but a real friend sticks closer than a brother. So, like I said, boundaries. Being a real friend does involve setting boundaries. Prayer and leading by example is sometimes the best thing we can do. We have to remember that being a friend is not the same thing as enabling someone. So continuing to deal with that behavior is only going to enable them. Continuing to accept their abuse and tolerate it under the guise of love, that's not love. So we have to set boundaries with them. And, you know, if we can't work out something, if God can't show us how to deal with it, or, well, I take that back, because God can show us how to deal with it. But if we don't know, you know, and God tells us we need to leave that person alone, we can't try to play savior for them. We got to walk away. Number one, red flag. Number one, toxic relationship. This person, this friend, tries to lead you astray. So this person is going to be someone who invites you to do the things that you said you don't want to do anymore, the things that were a part of your old life. You know, for me, y'all know I used to party, I used to be in the clubs, I used to be all lustful and, you know, running the streets, all of that. I was doing all those things. So friends that try to call me back into that, try to lure me into drinking, or, you know, let your girl just have a good time. They try to tempt you, saying things like, it's okay, you can just do it one time, it's gonna be all right, God will forgive you, blah blah blah. They say things like that. They produce bad fruit in you. If you notice that every time you're around this person, you're gossiping, you're lying, or you're, you know, trying to people please, you're trying to, you're drinking, you're whatever sin that you've dealt with, if you find yourself going back into that whenever you're around this person, that is a big red flag. So anyone who leads you astray, I'm going to say that's number one, because this person is very dangerous for sure. For one, unfortunately, I hate to say this because I don't know every situation, but 9 times out of 10, this person was sent to you straight from the enemy to deter you off the path of righteousness. They may be completely unaware that they're being manipulated by the enemy. Often, they just feel insecure. They see that, you know, you may have been friends with this person for a long time. They see that you're growing. They see that you're changing, and they don't see that growth in themselves. So it's making them fearful that they're going to have to step up in order to be around you, in order to be loved by you, whatever. Pretty much in a nutshell, they don't want you to change because it makes them feel uncomfortable. So instead of growing, they try to keep you in bondage to your past. These are the people who try to, like I said, tempt you to go back to the things that God has already delivered you from. They may be unforgiving. They may constantly remind you of your past to make you feel unworthy of growing or of God or anything. This friendship is not only toxic, but it is so dangerous to your spiritual health. So I definitely recommend, if you have a friend like this in your life, really going to God and asking him how to deal with it. Because, well, in all honesty, I've dealt with each type of friend, and I'll admit it, I've even been a few of them myself at times. So before I jump into solutions, I want to remind you that we overcome darkness with light. So, okay, so friend, make sure that before you take any steps on your own that you pray. I know it sounds super simple, but it is the most important step. This invites God into the situation so that we can gain understanding, we can gain clarity, wisdom, and discernment before proceeding. So of course, we always want to invite God into every situation. After praying, get a journal, notepad, whatever, piece of paper, something, and jot down everything that you believe that God has revealed to you about this friendship, and how he wants you to handle it. There is no one size fits all. I wish I could give you all the answers, but I don't want to tell you to walk out of a friendship that God has you there for a reason, because he may be using you to reach that person, or he may have you there for a season, you know, and then later on he'll send someone else, whatever the case. I don't want to tell you to walk away from the friendship if God has you there for a reason. Pretty much, I want to always redirect you back to God. But praying about it, writing down what you believe God has revealed to you and what you believe the steps he's telling you to take, and then again pray one more time for confirmation. You may have to do this several times, honestly, but it's vital to remember that these people are God's children. So we can't just deal with people recklessly, because we can cause further hurt to them, we can cause damage to them. How we handle the situation says a lot about who we are, says a lot about believers, says a lot about God, all the things. If we're claiming to be God's children and we're handling things, we're cussing people out or going off or manipulating them or taking vengeance into our own hands, we can make them worse off than they were before they met us. So we don't want to do that. So always praying and asking God how to handle the situation allows us to handle it with grace and mercy, but still regain our peace and know that God is with us in the situation if He's telling us to stay, and knowing that He's giving us the opportunity to walk away if that's what He says. So He may be using this situation to reveal something to them. He may be using it to draw them to Him. He may be using it to teach us something. So there's all types of things and reasons that God may tell you to stay in that relationship or, that friendship. But like I said, pray about it, ask for confirmation. I'm by no means saying to continue with abuse. I'm just prompting you to go to God and ask Him how to handle the situation. So God may tell you to distance yourself or completely withdraw from the person. Sometimes we got to move that person from friend to associate or from friend to assignment. Because when we put our expectations on people, if a person is our assignment and we put friendship on them, we open the door for all types of pain and hurt and all this, and basically they're not gonna meet our expectations because they don't have it in them to meet our expectations. We weren't there in their life for them to be our friend. We were only sent for a season to help them with certain things, and then we were supposed to move on. But whatever the case, God will show us exactly what to do. Sometimes we just need to set boundaries. As believers, as humans, we can be people pleasers at times, and we cannot want to speak up for ourselves. We can be passive and just say things in a way, that kind of leaves it open, like maybe she was just joking, or maybe she was for real, or, she just said that kind of nicely and whatever. She probably just meant that if I want to do it. But no, like setting a firm boundary is a good thing. Friendships can have boundaries and should have boundaries. You should be able to go to your friend and say, hey, I love you, but this is making me uncomfortable, or I don't like when you do this. It hurts me when you do this. Communicating that how it's making you feel can give that person the opportunity to change and grow and become a better friend. But if you're just sitting here dealing with it and being angry, eventually you're going to explode on them. You're going to cuss them out, whatever. You're going to make the situation a lot worse. So being willing to set boundaries and just saying like, hey, I'm not comfortable with this. At least trying that is a good way to open the door for change and allow God to work in that relationship. But again, pray. So when we set the boundaries, whatever we do, it gives the person the opportunity to step up or keep it moving. When we put it out there, we lay our hearts out there and we do it in the right way. We try to, come from a place of love. It gives them the opportunity, and they can't really go back and say, well, we're not friends because of she did this to me or anything, because you came to them and you were honest. And even if they do go back and lie, you and that person both know how the situation really happened, and God knows how the situation really happened, and that's what really matters. Either way, we can trust that if we are obedient to God, and we follow the direction He has given us, it will all work out for our good. So that's all. I hope this video has been helpful for you. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like, share, comment, and also click the video that YouTube has recommended for you. It should pop up over here because they are recommending something that they think you would like based on content that you've watched in the past. And I hope that you'll find more content that encourages you on your journey. Also, I love you, and I'll see you soon. But be blessed, friend.